Hello everybody, Tornado Soup here. Donna Troy. Really, her character seems like a no-brainer in a lot of ways, especially given when she was created. You had Robin and Speedy and Kid Flash popping up and gaining a following of their own. DC was even telling stories of a teenage Superman and created Supergirl as a sort of pseudo-sidekick for the Man of Steel. Teen heroes were where it was at. So, yeah, give Wendy her own teen partner. Boost sales on the book. Easy. It's common sense, really. But, yeah, not quite so easy. If it were that easy, this video wouldn't exist. Wonder Girl is in fact far more confusing than Robin or Speedy or Kid Flash or even Superboy, because for the first few years of her existence, there still wasn't technically a character called Wonder Girl. You see, in the 1950s and 60s, Wonder Woman was in a bit of a difficult spot. Released in 1953, the book Seduction of the Innocent by noted child psychologist Frederick Wortham sparked some major controversy in the world of comics. Wortham cited violence and horror in comics as leading to juvenile delinquency, a claim that resulted in comic burnings held around the country. Naturally, comic publishers like DC, then called National Publications, were worried by this. After all, if the entire country is against a product, it's pretty difficult to sell it. This eventually gave birth to the Comics Code. You know, that little stamp that's in the corner of the covers of older comics? But the code wasn't the only bit of damage control DC had to do. Wonder Woman was especially focused on during this period, as the book featured art and situations that were deemed, well, not exactly family-friendly, to say the least, and was often considered to bring about deviant behavior in its readers. In an attempt to inspire more parental faith, DC began publishing so-called impossible stories in the Wonder Woman Monthly, featuring what would become known as the Wonder Family, mirroring a similarly successful gimmick used by both Batman and Captain Marvel. This family was a little different, though. Instead of wholly original characters in use, such as Robin and Captain Marvel Jr., these impossible stories often featured Wonder Woman along with her teenaged and toddler-aged self, named Wonder, respectively. Nowadays, this might not seem all that complicated, given that alternate universe stories are common. Perhaps they just brought Wonder Girl over to the main universe from some parallel dimension, a la today's Spider-Gwen. Well, that would you know. Then maybe Donna Troy was just a completely new character, with no relation to the original Wonder Girl. No, not yet, at least. In fact, when the Teen Titans were launched a few years later in the pages of Brave and the Bold, she was made a member in only their second appearance. But according to all the continuity set out in Wonder Woman, she in fact never existed at all. It appears this came to be as part of an editorial mishap, as often the impossible stories were not labeled as such. The writers mostly stayed away from this for the first bit of the run, and Wonder Girl was referred to as only her superhero name, or some variation like Wendy or Wonder Chick, because, the 60s. This changed, though, in Teen Titans issue 22, in a story written by future regular Titans scribe Marv Wolfman, he comes up again later, and artists Gil Kane and Nick Cardy, when Donna finally becomes Donna. She was no longer just the teenage version of Wonder Woman. In fact, she was no longer even an Amazon. In this version of her origin, Wonder Woman finds a young Donna, alone in a burning building. With her parents apparently dead, Diana takes Donna to Paradise Island, home of the Amazons, where she is adopted by Queen Hippolyta, making her and Wonder Woman technically sisters. The Amazons train Donna, teaching her their advanced sciences and arts, but, as just a human, she couldn't keep up with them enough to train, at least not physically. So she was subjected to the scientist Paula's purple rays, which basically, it's a sci-fi thing that does whatever the writer needs it to do. In this story, the writer needed it to give Donna powers. Now, with the powers of Wonder Woman, Donna could go from the island as she pleased. Then she joined the Teen Titans, and, well, the rest we already covered. So, despite a bit of a messy start, that seems like it would be it, right? The origin works as well as most superheroes, even if there are a few loose ends. And in fact, years later, in 1984, while working on the new Teen Titans, Marv Wolfman would return to this story, along with legendary artist George Perez, to tie up said loose ends. In issue 38 of the new Teen Titans series, Wolfman and Perez crafted a story entitled Who is Donna Troy? The issue fleshes out the story of Teen Titans number 22, giving insight to who Donna's parents were as she and Dick Grayson try to find out what Wonder Woman never could. Grayson and Donna discover that she was in fact born to an unwed mother named Dorothy Hinckley. Dorothy, however, was sick and dying from some unnamed disease, most likely cancer. So Dorothy left the young Donna at an orphanage, where she was adopted by Carl and Faye Stacy. For 2 years, they lived a life of bliss and joy, until, in another tragic turn of fate, Carl died in an accident at work. This left Faye with no choice but to give Donna up, as she had no way to support the young child. And if you thought that last bit was dark, well, then buckle up, friends. Donna was adopted again, but her new guardians were far from as altruistic as the Stacys. Donna was sold into a child-selling racket. She was taken to an unused apartment building for holding, but a fire started, killing the people involved in holding her there. Wonder Woman came, and the rest is history. Honestly, it's one of the best single issues of Wolfman's run on the New Teen Titans, and I highly suggest you go read it, whether at your local library, your friendly neighborhood comic store, or even the DC Universe service. Clearly, with this issue, there's more to Donna's origin than everyone first thought, but it's still pretty straightforward. It's not like there would be something a year or two later to erase it from existence entirely. Oh, right. At least you can blame Crisis on editorial hands and the proverbial cookie jar, right? Nope. Crisis on Infinite Earths was written by Marv Wolfman and drawn by George Perez, and pretty much every idea in there belonged to them. But okay, it's not like they expected Crisis to change everything. Maybe the next writer on Wonder Woman did something that they weren't... Oh yeah, that was George Perez too. Well, they made that a lot harder for themselves. Following Crisis, Wonder Woman's origins had been changed so much that there was really no way for her to have found Donna in that fire all those years ago. Diana was just starting out herself, just coming to man's world, so there was no time for Donna to have grown up on Paradise Island. Alright, so then the original origin is pretty much thrown straight out the window. This meant that Marv Wolfman and George Perez would need to return to the pages of New Teen Titans to once again detail Donna's backstory. And so they did with the story Who is Wonder Girl, starting with issue number 50 of New Titans. This story is a little crazier than the last origin, though. This time around, with Donna's Wonder Woman ties mostly severed, it's explained that it was actually the Titans of Myth that saved Donna from the fire, and she became one of 12 orphans that had been found around the universe by the Titans as their eventual saviors, called Seeds. Each seed was given special abilities, which reconciles the Purple Ray problem, and were named after ancient Greek cities, hence the last name Troy. This origin, while becoming more complicated and less personal than the original, works as a way to keep some ties to Wonder Woman, at least tangentially, through the inclusion of various Greek myths. It also gave Donna her own adversaries, particularly her seed sibling Sparta, who dedicated her life to killing the other seeds and collecting their powers. Following this confrontation, Donna took the name Troya and incorporated gifts from the Titans into her arsenal and costume. So sure, that was a pretty big change from the original, but it's still a cool story. Unfortunately, this is the part of our journey where we leave Wolfman and Perez behind as we venture into the stories and the minds of other creators who have taken over Teen Titans and Wonder Woman over the years. When John Byrne came out of the Wonder Woman books in the 1990s, he did what he does best: completely erase swaths of continuity that he either didn't like or didn't want to work with, just as he had done with Fantastic Four, Superman, and, unfortunately, Spider-Man. We don't talk about that one. Even though the Who is Wonder Girl story worked perfectly, Donna's origins were changed yet again, so that she was a duplicate of Diana, who was created so that she could have a friend that was around her age. This Donna was captured by Golden Age Wonder Woman villain Dark Angel and forced to live a never-ending cycle of lives, all ending in tragedy. Wonder Woman had to destroy Donna so that she could break free. but Wonder Girl was eventually brought back with the help from memories of Wally West. This origin is weird, but it does have a nice homage to the Impossible Stories version of Donna, and it's by John Byrne, so it's still cool. Everything he does is cool. Except for that Spider-Man story. We don't talk about that one. In the Titans Young Justice crossover, Graduation Day, Donna is killed by a fleet of Superman robots. Don't worry, though, as she was brought back just a few years later by the Titans of Myth. And this is comics, after all. It's explained that Donna is in fact an anomaly, one of the few surviving remnants of the multiverse that was destroyed in Crisis on Infinite Earths. This is then used as an in-world explanation as to why there are so many conflicting origins for Donna. The universe is trying to find a place for her to fit in, but doesn't know where that could be, like a puzzle piece. And it's shifting things around, moving things, changing things, and it's not working so great for it. This was used for a few different characters at the time, such as Power Girl, who had a similar confusing backstory. From there, her origin is left alone. Until the New 52. The New 52 was a company-wide change for the DC, similar to Crisis on Infinite Earths. A new universe was created, and so everything from the past few decades of stories had to be left behind. While Donna was not even mentioned for the first couple of years under the New 52, she was eventually reintroduced as a magical golem created to challenge Wonder Woman and possibly take away her throne. Oh, and Wonder Woman was Queen of the Amazons at that point. I think I forgot to mention that. I don't really remember. This whole thing is kind of making my head hurt, so. Now, even though this was like 4 years ago now, there's still 2 more things we have to cover. This video is going to be so long. Just the script is like twice the length of the normal ones. Maybe I'm going to end up talking faster than I think, and it'll be shorter, or maybe I'll cut some things out. I don't know. I should probably stop talking, though, so it doesn't get to be too long. I'm just going to go right back into it. So, at about the same time as the Wonder Woman story, DC released a miniseries entitled Titans Hunt, which was meant to reintroduce traditional parts of the Titans canon to New 52 continuity. It reinstated Robin, Speedy, Aqualad, and Wonder Girl as founding members, as opposed to the team which was founded at the inception of the New 52, composed of characters such as Tim Drake's Robin, Cassie Sandsmark's Wonder Girl, and Bart Allen's Kid Flash. However, since the story features the 4 heroes originally teaming up as young teens, it doesn't exactly coincide with the origin explained in Wonder Woman, despite the fact that the present-day versions are clearly written to be the same character. There's some lines of dialogue in the story meant to rectify this, but the timeline still doesn't really match up. Following the end of the New 52, however, Wonder Woman's origin was changed to explain that all of the Wonder Woman stories featured in the New 52 were in fact created by the Olympian gods so that Diana could never find the real Paradise Island. This would seem to call Donna's New 52 origin into question, but it turns out she really was created to challenge Diana, although it is stated that she was given false memories by the Amazons so that she could have some semblance of a real life, becoming more than just a weapon and even a real person. And it looks like that's where her origin is at now. I didn't find anything else in my research, but if you have anything else you know about Donna, then I'd love to hear it down in the comments. Oh, and obviously there are other versions of her origin, like in the Earth 2 series, where she's the daughter of Wonder Woman and the new god Steppenwolf, but those are alternate realities and were never meant to be the main continuity, so those backstories were left out. Anyway, I spent about a month working on this video, so I'd really, really appreciate a like on it, and maybe a comment on which Donna origin is your favorite. Other than that, hopefully I'll see you next time. Have a good day, and goodbye, everybody.